Hi again guys, and welcome to another straight line speed build for Horizon 3 in particular, and this particular build is for a very popular car, the Toyota Supra. And straight off the bat, two things in particular. One, of course, you can find this tune, as with all of my other builds, straight on my storefront. So if you just want to download it and don't really care about doing it yourself, you can find that by using the keywords in the description below this video. The second point of interest is that this is, and it's important to say as a JDM model because people tend to get more touchy about it, but this is not a tune for purists. If you're all about rear-wheel drive or keeping the original drivetrain, in other words, if you're all about keeping the original engine and getting the best out of it, which is admirable and understandable, then this ain't for you. This is just about making the car as quick as possible. So if you're not bothered by that, then proceed. Otherwise, this quite simply isn't for you. Now, as far as the upgrades on this model, first of all, before we get to the tuning, some of it's fairly obvious. Obviously, you want low weight, high grip, high numbers, basically. But for the particulars, I would recommend the V8 conversion. Gives you very good numbers across the board. As far as the drivetrain, as always, I would recommend all-wheel drive. Gives you great launch, grip, off-road ability, on-road ability. Again, purists will say, I prefer rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive is for noobs. Well, just don't use it then, I don't particularly care. If you want it, use it. If you don't, don't. It's very simple. As far as the aspiration, I would recommend the twin turbo, and then for the rest, of course, just improve the car in every way that does so. If you want different visuals, go ahead and do that. You can have different wings, body kit, rims, it doesn't really matter the performance much. If, though, you like the way this looks, then this is the exact tune that's on my storefront. So if you want to get that from there, you can do so, and of course I do appreciate downloads, but if you want to do it yourself, that's where this part comes in. As you can see, the acceleration isn't quite as quick as some other cars, not quite as quick as, for instance, some of the supercars, but the top speed and the acceleration overall is more than quick enough for most scenarios on the game. Now, as far as the gearbox, I would recommend a final drive of 2.7, then for the individual gears 2.9, 2, 1.5, 1.17, 0.95 and 0.76, and then for the rest, I've left it pretty open to change, interpretation, personal preference, etc. I personally like having neutral camber and tow. I've got a little bit too high of a caster, mainly due to high speed stability, so if you want more manoeuvrability, maybe make it a bit more tail happy, more drift happy, then you can of course lower that. As far as anti-roll, we've rounded those off to 30 and 20, springs to 165 and 180 with the lowest ride height front and rear, dampers on 14 and 6, aero doesn't apply, which is kind of strange given that it does have a rear wing, and for the diff I've opted, as I often do, for 100% on acceleration and 0 on deceleration, but feel free to change those if you deem it necessary. As far as the centre split, we haven't gone as heavily in favour of the rear as we sometimes do. Often we'll get up around 75, maybe even above 80%, but for this car you get the optimum launch grip at 69%. You don't have to go for that though. That's for the best launch, that won't necessarily give you the best handling, so again, change it as necessary. But overall, that's it for the particular build. There's plenty of room for variation to build it as you need it for you personally, or if you just like the way it already is, of course you can get it from the storefront along with literally hundreds of other tunes. But that's it overall for this build, and if you'd like to keep up with others like this, as soon as they're released on the channel, you can of course subscribe down below. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.